So, in Vedic astrology, the second house is mainly connected with speech, family, your food habits, accumulated wealth, that is your bank balance basically, your values, traditions, and the resources a person gathers during lifetime. And also, it shows how a person speaks, how they handle money, what kind of family environment they experience, and what they consider important in life. Ketu, on the other hand, is known as a shadow planet that represents detachment, past life karma, spirituality, unusual experiences, dissatisfaction, and separation from worldly matters. And when Ketu occupies the second house, it brings its energy of detachment and unpredictability into the areas ruled by the second house. The first thing often seen with Ketu in the second house is a feeling of distance or unusual experiences related to family. This does not always mean problems or a bad family life. Sometimes what happens, the person may feel emotionally disconnected from family members, even when they are physically present. So, in some cases, the family environment may be unusual or secretive or spiritually inclined, or sometimes it is divided or different from the regular social norms. So, the native may feel that they do not completely belong to their family, or that they must learn important life lessons through family experiences. So, Ketu in the second house can also affect your speech. Such individuals may speak very little, speak mysteriously, or communicate in a way that others find difficult to understand. Sometimes they may say very profound things without realizing it. At other times, they may accidentally say harsh or unexpected words. See, Ketu creates confusion and separation. That is the fundamental energy of Ketu. So, the person may struggle to express emotions clearly. However, if the horoscope supports it, this placement can also produce people who speak with spiritual depth and wisdom. So, if your Ketu is very positive, you can speak with that spiritual depth. And what about financial matters? Financial matters can become an area of learning for the native. Ketu does not always deny wealth, but it often creates dissatisfaction with wealth. A person may earn money and still feel that something is missing. There can be periods of sudden gains, sudden losses, unusual sources of income, or a lack of interest in accumulating material possessions. Sometimes the individual develops a spiritual attitude toward money and realizes that wealth alone cannot provide lasting happiness. And what about food habits? Food habits may also become unusual. The person may be selective about food, may experience digestive sensitivities, or may go through periods of changing dietary preferences. In some cases, there can be a strong attraction towards fasting, simple eating, or spiritual disciplines related to food. Now, how to understand this energy? See, imagine that the second house is like a family treasure room inside a house. This room contains family memories, money, jewelry, values, food supplies, and the family's way of speaking. Normally, the owner of the house visits this room regularly and feels comfortable with everything stored there. Now imagine Ketu is present in this treasure room. Ketu is like a wandering monk who has traveled through many lifetimes. This monk is not interested in gold, possessions, or social status. He looks at the treasure and says, "These things are useful, but they are not the ultimate truth." Because of this attitude, the owner of the house starts looking at the treasure room differently. The first effect is that the owner may no longer feel strongly attached to the items in the room. This represents detachment from wealth and family expectations. The treasures are still there, but the emotional connection to them becomes weaker. The person starts asking deeper questions about life. The second effect I can clearly understand from the people having Ketu in the second house is related to speech. Imagine that the monk speaks in the riddles and symbolic language instead of ordinary conversation. As a result, the owner sometimes struggles to communicate clearly. This is similar to how Ketu can make speech unusual, mysterious, blunt, or difficult for others to understand. See, the third effect concerns family relationships. The monk is always preparing for the next journey rather than settling down permanently. Because of this, the owner may feel like an outsider in the family or may experience lessons that teach emotional independence. The person is learning that identity should not depend entirely on family approval. And another effect you can see is about money. The monk sees wealth as temporary. Therefore, even if the owner collects many treasures, complete satisfaction may never come from them. This creates a life lesson where the person eventually learns to balance material success with inner fulfillment. From a karmic perspective, many Vedic astrologers interpret Ketu in the second house as indicating unfinished karmas related to family, speech, wealth, or values from previous births. The soul may already experienced these matters extensively before. So in this life, there is less attachment to them. The soul is being pushed towards deeper understanding rather than simple material accumulation. The actual results depend greatly on the zodiac sign occupied by Ketu and the strength of the second house lord and aspects from other planets, conjunctions, and the overall horoscope. See, a benefic influence from planets like Jupiter can bring wisdom and spiritual speech, while difficult influences may create family misunderstandings or financial instability. Therefore, Ketu in the second house alone should never be judged in isolation. According to Vedic astrology, one common remedy for Ketu is the worship of Lord Ganesha. Lord Ganesha is considered the remover of obstacles and confusion. Since Ketu is associated with confusion, karmic complications, and hidden difficulties, prayers to Ganesha are believed to reduce the challenging effects of Ketu and bring clarity to the person's life. The symbolic idea is that Ganesha helps the native navigate karmic lessons more smoothly. Another traditional remedy is the recitation of Ketu mantras. Vedic astrology teaches that every planet carries a particular vibration. By repeatedly chanting a mantra connected with Ketu, the person is believed to harmonize with that planetary energy. The purpose is not to eliminate Ketu, but to make its lessons easier to understand and integrate. And feeding stray dogs is another excellent remedy. Ketu is traditionally associated with dogs in many astrological traditions. The reasoning is symbolic and karmic. By showing kindness to creatures associated with Ketu, the native cultivates humility, compassion, and positive karma, which are believed to reduce the harsher manifestations of Ketu's energy. Many astrologers advise donating food, blankets, or necessities to the poor and needy. Since the second house is connected with food and accumulated resources, sharing one's resources becomes a symbolic correction of karmic imbalances. The act of giving teaches detachment in a healthy way rather than through forced loss or suffering. Respecting family members and being careful with speech is another important remedy. This remedy is directly connected to the areas ruled by the second house. Since Ketu can create misunderstandings in speech and family matters, consciously speaking truthfully, politely, and thoughtfully is considered a practical way to improve the results of this placement. In Vedic astrology, remedies often work through correcting behavior in the area represented by the affected house. See, spiritual practices such as meditation are also commonly recommended. Ketu is naturally a spiritual planet that seeks liberation from worldly attachments. When a person meditates regularly, they cooperate with Ketu's higher purpose instead of resisting it. As a result, the native may experience the wisdom side of Ketu rather than only its confusing side. So, Ketu in the second house usually indicates lessons related to family, speech, wealth, and personal values. It often creates some form of detachment, unusual experiences, or dissatisfaction in these areas so that the soul can develop deeper understanding.